Okay, today's video, routine maintenance. I'm going to go over my checklist of the monthly and yearly items that I do constantly to keep my camper running at its optimal performance. So if that's something you want to watch and learn, stick around and I'll show you all about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Why Wait. If you've been following along with us and you're already subscribed, I just want to let you know we really appreciate every one of you. We really want to thank you for tuning in each week. If you're new to the channel, I would love it if you guys hit the subscribe button, notification bell, so you always get notified every time we come out with a new video each week. And if you're enjoying this one, or if you do enjoy it, I appreciate it if you hit that like button as well. So today I'm going to touch base on routine maintenance that I do in our fifth wheel, our Grand Design Solitude. It's monthly maintenance, some of it is yearly maintenance. I actually have a spreadsheet that I made up and I keep track of the dates and notes and check mark and write down everything that I do. It's everything from outside maintenance to inside maintenance on appliances, jacks, roof, cleaning, windows, seals, grease, lubes, and all that good stuff. And I'll dive into some of the products I use. A few of the projects I actually need to get done, and I'll walk you through those as I do them today. Some of them I've just recently done, or I'll be doing in the future, and I'll just kind of touch base on those. Now, if you follow along with the channel, you do know that we are heading out west in I think about 3 weeks now. And I appreciate anybody who's been sticking around and watching all the maintenance videos and some of the prep videos that we've been doing to the camper and truck to get ready to go on the trip, because we have been stationary in Texas for about 5 months now. And for everybody who enjoys the campground review videos and the travel videos, we're going to have a lot more of those coming out as soon as we start getting out west. But until then, I appreciate you sticking around and watching some of the maintenance videos, because, well, those are important too, and there's a lot of newbies out there who can appreciate all the tips and advice we can give them. But so for today, I'm going to dive into my checklist and I'll show you guys that. Of course, every camper is different, you know, from hydraulic jacks to electric jacks to travel trailers and the hitches you may have. So mine will just be kind of a rough overall guideline. It's the one I use, but a lot of it will be standard stuff on most standard campers that will help you out as well. Now, before I jump into some of the products I use and we start doing some of this routine maintenance, I also wanted to, advise the LCI book that also comes with the camper. If you have LCI parts, there's also tons of information in here. I just got done repacking my bearings on the trailer. That's something I try to do every year, and I'll put a link up to that video right here because we just did that last week. Really good video. It's not a hard job. It shouldn't be too intimidating. In fact, most information on how to repack your bearings is actually in the LCI handbook right here. And then, like I mentioned earlier, whatever camper you have, the owner's manual, there is tons and tons of stuff in here. If you're a newbie and you don't even understand some of the lingo, they give you a glossary of terms in the back. And I've probably read this 2 or 3 times. And in fact, here's a required maintenance schedule right in the back of the book. And you can base it off this and then just do a lot of other stuff on your own that you may find necessary. But I definitely advise checking out your books, seeing what's specific with your camper. A lot of questions can always be answered in there. And, obviously you guys can always reach out to us too and ask us any questions. We love helping out. That's how I also learned a lot of stuff. I mean, I read these books when I first got the camper, but when I hit the road full time, I started going on social media and watching YouTube videos and going on Facebook. So if anybody ever needs any questions, always feel free to reach out to us as well. Back from crafting?
Yes.
Okay. You're just in time. You didn't interrupt me.
Okay.
Guys, I'm going to take you down in my basement here and show you where I keep all my cleaners, lubes, polishers, and just all that good stuff. I'm going to put them all out there, show you each one, just talk a little bit about what I use them all for. So let's go check them out. Okay. Coming down into the basement here, also known as the man room or my garage. You can see I kind of label everything I keep in here. And this is where I keep all of my cleaners, grease, lubes, and all that kind of good stuff. Let's jump in here. I'm gonna pull all these out and show you what I use them for. Okay, here they are. Let's go ahead and touch base on each one. So I just jumped right up in my basement here, which I actually do quite often. I'll do little projects in here. Enough room. I got the mini fridge. Only thing I'm missing is a TV. So let me go through each one of these real quick and just kind of tell you what I use it for on the campers. Starting with dry lube, lock dry lube. I use this on the baggage door locks, the RV front door lock, vehicle locks, padlocks, anything that has a locking mechanism. You spray this right in there, and that's mainly what I use this one for. Next, the same company, 3-in-1 oil. And this is just a multi-purpose drip oil. Just use this on bike chains. I use this on the Fantastic fans up top. I use this to lube the arms on those. Sometimes I also use this on the windows. I know a lot of people with the windows where you crank them down and the windows get real tight, and if you ever try to open the windows back up and they just don't want to pop open, so you can either use a basic vegetable oil to rub on that window seal, or I just use this 3-in-1 oil sometimes. It's just a really good multi-purpose oil for a lot of stuff. All right, and a huge can of WD-40, which is kind of funny because I've had this forever, and I actually don't use WD-40 that much. A few places I do use it. The foot pedal actually on the toilet, when the foot pedal starts to kind of slow down and it feels like every time you go to flush the toilet and then that doesn't want to close all the way, the foot pedal kind of comes up slow. I use WD-40 on that. Another place I use it is on the arms of the awning, and that's really about the only few places I use WD-40 on. It's not my favorite lubricant, and I'll kind of get to one of them that is. Okay, lubricating the Termination gate valves, WD-40. Let's go in our water bay here. Now, one thing, I do it more often than that, every 6 months. I'd say I do it a lot more often than that. It's one of the few things I still use WD-40 for, but I will spray these right here with WD-40 and exercise them in and out when I'm emptying the black or grays, just to keep those lubed up. And by the way, I like to keep these spray bottles on hand. I have one with WD-40. This one sometimes is a bleach water mixture, and I actually use them for other various products as well, just so it's always nice to have a couple empty spray bottles on hand. Speaking of spray bottles, what's in this one right now, and I should have labeled it, this is actually a product called 30 Seconds Cleaner, and this stuff is great for any outdoor mold, algae, any kind of growth like that. I'll put a link up to a video of ours where I clean our roof, and Grand Design campers have these trusses that go along, and I guess it's a chemical that they use in the wood on the wood trusses, and it creates this black line on the roof, and they're stubborn. I could not get them off with anything. So finally I found this 30 Seconds Cleaner product, and the link to the video I'll put right up here. As you can see, the before and after, the 30 Seconds Cleaner just eliminates any mold or algae. The stuff is excellent. You just mix it with a little bit of water. I used it on that, and another place I use it on the awnings to clean the actual awnings themselves. You just spray it on, let it set for 10-20 seconds, and then you just hose it off, and it will make those awnings look brand new. So I actually love that stuff. It's a great product, and mainly I find myself using it on the roof and the awnings on the RV. Now, probably my second favorite product, maybe behind the 30 Seconds Cleaner, is the 303 Aerospace Protectant against UV damage. I have the giant gallon jug and my spray bottle here. This stuff right here, if you want to talk about UV protection, this stuff is excellent. I mean, I use this on everything. I use this stuff on all my rubber gaskets. I usually just spray it in a towel or directly on there. Just run that all over there, keep all that rubber nice and protected from the sun. Any kind of rubber on the truck, camper, I use it on any kind of plastic on the truck. I can use this stuff on the awnings. I use this stuff on our couches. I'm just trying to think of the list. If you guys have the little traveling maps where you put your stickers on it, those things are gonna fade and peel quick, trust me. I started using this on that to protect those, and that seems to last forever. In fact, I'll just cover it right here. I mean, it talks about safe and effective on a variety of surfaces such as vinyl, plastics, polyurethane, synthetic and natural rubbers, PVC, epoxies, composite resins, powder coated metal, gel coat, fiberglass, stainless steel, and more. Great for outdoor furniture. I mean, this isn't like some fancy like Armor All that just gives you like a cool shine. This stuff actually protects. It was originally used on airplanes, I believe. Now, one of the main things I use this on is actually my tires on my truck and my RV. You want to apply this maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, but I definitely love this product. I'm using it all the time. I'm using it on everything. I get it on Amazon, which, by the way, I'm going to put a link to everything you see today down on Amazon. If you guys are into protecting some stuff from sun damage and fading and cracking, like your tires and all kind of stuff like that, the 303 protectant, I couldn't be happier with it. Okay, moving along, going on to these slides. Okay, my third favorite, the CRC Power Lube High Performance Lubricant. Use this on all kinds of things, especially on the RV. This, I used to kind of get the RV slide out sprays and the RV, this is kind of an all-in-one deal. This is great for lubing your slide outs, whether you have the Schwintek style or the rack and pinion style. This is pretty much the go-to for all of that. Okay, now this is something I just did recently too, because I just did the wheel bearings, and when I did the wheel bearings, I had to move my slides in and out. So anytime I get a chance to exercise the slides, I'll go ahead and take the CRC Power Lube. So I'll go ahead and spray this rack and pinion arm, and I'll even spray right up into here a little bit. I'll do that on both arms of this slide. And I'll probably do that maybe once every 2 months, and I'll just wipe this whole area down. And knock on wood, I've had no issues with my slide so far. And let me go show you real quick how to do the Schwintek slide. Bedroom slide out. You can see our bedroom slide out here uses the Schwintek slide system. And you have to get back up in here. And I'm gonna kind of bend your little nozzle, and I'm gonna show you. You can see that roller tube right back in there. And let me hold that back. You get the can. And what you wanna do is kind of just get that can up in there and just give a quick little squirt on the bottom. Again, on the bottom one, you're gonna see the little roller wheel right there, and insert that in there. And just get a couple shots, and then we'll exercise it, put it in and out. I gotta go do both sides, top, bottom, and we'll be done. Next up, CRC White Lithium Grease. This is great for metal to metal contact. Hinges, metal moving parts. Some of the areas I use this are on my truck, on the tailgate, on the door hinges on the truck, the latches where they slam close. I use this on the LCI solid steps that go up to the camper. I like to spray this in that area. This is just a good heavy duty lubrication, stands up against water, and again, it's good for metal to metal parts. Okay, now coming down here is something I'll do before each trip, inspecting the tires, the wheels, the lug nuts, the center hanger, the shackle link, the equalizers, the bolts, all this kind of stuff. Now, just before a trip, I will check the torques on my lug nuts. I torque mine down to 110. Each camper is different. In the owner's manual, it should have the specs of what your lug nuts should be torqued down to. I just did my bearings on mine, so I know they're all torqued down and good. Now, let me get in here and show you this. I come down here and I like to inspect this center hanger right here. These have been known to crack off in these spots. I look for rust. That's a good sign that there's a crack. Now you may see some of this discoloration. This is actually a product I put on here. It's a rust preventer that I put on here. These are greaseless shackle bolts right here. Now I will come and I will torque these every once in a while. This is something I do about once a year unless something looks different. And just like in that LCI manual I showed you earlier, you can find the specs to what these should be torqued down to. And then I'll come over here and look at the front hanger and the rear hanger as well, which is right here where your leaf springs are attached to. And I will check on these bolts. And then I will also once a year check on the bolts, if I can get the camera back here, on top of the U-bolt for the leaf springs. And I will torque those down to spec as well. Now, before each trip, I'll also check the inflation on my tires. We have the tire pressure monitor system, the TST, and these are flow-through sensors right here, so I can just hook up to these and put air in or take air out as needed. With the tire pressure monitor system, all I have to do is turn it on, and as soon as it finds a signal, it's going to tell me what the pressure and the temperature is in the tires. So before the trip, I already know if I need to add air to them or if they're set to go. But when you do get down here, you want to visually inspect your tires as well. Check for all sorts of wear and unusual cracks and sun damage, and that's a whole nother video I could get into. But as far as just routine maintenance on them, without going on trips, without inspecting them, I just keep that 303 aerospace protectant on them to protect from the UV damage. And then about every 3 months, I like to come down and inspect my frame, and I'll look for any signs of rust. And you're probably not seeing too much right now because I use a product called Core Seal, and I'll scrape off any light rust that's on there and hit it up with the Core Seal. And when it goes on there, it kind of just turns black. So I do that as needed, or probably once every 6 months. We use the same product right here. If I see any rust, I'll hit it up with Core Seal to seal it. It's a rust converter. And then I'll even check out my kingpin and see if I have any rust around the bolts, and I'll hit it up with the Core Seal as well. And I just did it recently, and you know, this used to be a little rusty, and it just kind of converts it and actually kind of leaves it just a nice little black color. You definitely want to come in here at least once annually and check your connections, make sure everything's tight, turn it on, see if you're smelling anything, listen for leaks. If it's wintertime, it's something you probably want to check more often. I know some of these regulators up in here can go bad quite often, and on both sides, and I've seen a lot of people having to replace those. Oh, and just a quick little note, those are the hydraulics for the dining room slide, the kitchen slide, and the bunk room slide. And in case you didn't know, they're all on one button inside, so when you press the one button, all 3 rooms go out together. But if you want to just isolate one room, you can twist these to the left or right, open or close. And if I just want, say, the dining room slide to come out, I'll close the kitchen slide, close the bunkhouse slide, and then when I press that one button inside, only the dining room slide will come out. And I went ahead and labeled them so I can always remember. Every camper is different, but if you have that, that's a nice little trick some people don't know about. Depending on if it's wintertime or summertime, I like to check the furnace tubes here, just to check for any kind of buildup of soot or any obstructions that may be in there. If it's been in summertime and I haven't been using the furnace, wasps are known to build houses in there, and you just want to give that a quick look, make sure everything's looking good. They do have the little screen protectors you can put over there, all to keep the bugs and wasps out of them. As far as the hot water heater goes, just check, make sure it looks clean. I have a whole video about changing out your anode rod. So you're changing out your hot water heater anode rod. What do you need? Just a few things. One thing you're going to need is a 1 1/16 inch socket, flushing wand to clean out all the little debris in there and everything. We'll need a new anode rod, pretty obvious. The thing I will put a link up to right there if you want to look at a video about flushing out your hot water heater, possibly descaling it with vinegar, and taking care of that. That's a yearly job right there. Okay guys, moving right along, you can see what we've knocked out, what we've checked already, and what we've done, and we kind of went over. And we'll move right on to some safety equipment, something I do every 6 months. And since we just had daylight savings time, it's something I just did. And let me go show you that real quick. So every 6 months, I like to go through and I change all the batteries in our smoke alarms. I like to test all of our fire extinguishers, make sure they pop up. I have a fire extinguisher here. I carry a fire extinguisher under a kitchen sink. I have a fire extinguisher in the truck. And I've also put up some extra smoke detectors in the camper. Your smoke detectors, change the batteries just like you would a house. We also have we also carry a spare extra carbon monoxide reader that comes with the camper, located down here. And you do want to check the dates on these, because when these go bad, you can't just replace batteries in these. This is a propane and carbon monoxide detector, but when the date on it goes bad, you just have to actually change out the whole unit and get a whole new unit for it. Hey, Bob. And as you can see, this is an extra smoke detector we put in the mid-bunk room. What are you watching, DuckTales? Yeah. Cool. And that's something we've installed in his room as well, as an extra smoke detector. So just moving down the back of the list here, you can see freshwater tank, sanitized tank and lines. I do that annually, and let me touch base on what I do with that. So everybody's system's gonna be different. We have the Nautilus system here, which I absolutely love. And to sanitize the freshwater tank, the onboard tank, and to sanitize all the lines, water lines in the camper, there is actually a switch that you can do in here, and I'll show you. So on the Nautilus system, you would just switch it over to sanitize, and that's going to siphon to the tank via the pump. And you just follow these color-coded pictures on how to switch it over. Oh, and by the way, in case you guys are looking for a nice little product, these little 90-degree brass elbows, they come in handy. They take a lot of tension off the hose bending on these. And then I have these quick connect water connections right here. I'll put a link down to those below, but that's just something nice we have in here. I pretty much never have to thread a water hose again. But anyways, back to the sanitizing the tank. What I'll do is I'll get a bucket, 5-gallon bucket. I'll fill it up with like I think it's 1 part bleach, 5 part water, something like that. I'd have to look up the combination again every time I do it. It's like a 1/4 cup of bleach, I think, per 5 gallons of water. And I'll stick a hose in it, hook it up, switch to sanitize, and I'll pump that right into my fresh water tank, and then finish filling the fresh water tank up. Then after I have that fresh water tank filled with the bleach and water mixture, I'll leave it overnight, let it sanitize the fresh water tank, and then I'll go ahead and turn my water pump on and run that tank of bleach sanitized solution through all of my water lines and just get them real nice and clean. And I tend to do that about once a year. Okay, hot water tank, we touched base on that. In fact, I have a whole video. Like I said, I'll put a link up to that video about replacing the water anode every year, flushing the tank, descaling it with vinegar, and I have a whole video you guys can watch, as well as the toilet. As far as cleaning the gasket and applying plumber's grease, we also have a whole video on black tank maintenance. And on that black tank maintenance video, I go through the whole process of the chemicals, the products we used for 2 years full-time, and we've never had any stink, no clogs, no nothing. So that's another video you can watch. I also touch base on the maintenance that we do with the toilet every year. And that pretty much leaves air conditioning, which we'll go up top and we'll go check out that. And I'll kind of tell you what I do for the air conditioning every year. And the refrigerator. The refrigerator, we got 2 vents we need to go check. Now you guys probably won't believe it, but we also have a video on some refrigerator tips and freezer tips. And I'll put that up here as well. I need to get my shoulders down. I think it's over the left shoulder. And in that video, we have a Norcold refrigerator, which obviously runs off propane or electric. And then that one, you have to defrost the freezer. Got to do that about 3 times a month. Check that video out if you're interested in an awesome way to defrost the freezer, a quick hack and trick that makes it about a 5-minute process. But let's check out the back of the fridge here. You can see we have access to behind the fridge as most, and 2 different panels. And this right here is my little condensation hose. You can either have it run inside here, and there's a little reservoir it can fill up. When we're stationary for a long time, I just have mine out here, and you can just see I just have it drip outside instead of filling up that reservoir. But let's take these off, and you just turn. Just be careful what you touch. This is the little reservoir I was telling you about, where the hose can just sit, and it'll fill up just a little bit with water. It evaporates before you usually ever have to worry about it overflowing or anything like that. And again, you just want to check your connections in here, make sure everything looks okay, make sure you're not seeing any kind of burn on the wires or any kind of excessive heat where it shouldn't be by looking at them. And I usually check for wasp nests, spider webs. I'll just give it a clean wipe down. And in case you're wondering what this is, it's actually part of a cat flea collar. And a little trick I do, I put it in here and I put it into my hot water heater area. You just take a cat flea collar, you cut it up in a few pieces and set them around strategic locations, and it's supposed to keep wasps out. Now, I was a little skeptical at first about using the cat flea collar trick, but we had a pretty bad wasp But when we were in Pennsylvania, we actually had quite a few wasps always trying to get into our hot water tank area, and I cut some of these up and put them in there, and honestly after that I didn't have any more wasps trying to get in there. So I'm kind of a believer, so it's a little trick I use, and it's actually probably time to replace this because I don't think they last forever. So I'm gonna save you guys the time, and but I'm gonna get the ladder and I'm gonna go up top, take this other cover off, inspect it for the same thing. There's a couple fans up in the top one, there's a fan in this one, and that's kind of what pulls all the heat from back behind the refrigerator unit to keep it cool back there. Okay, next up, air condition maintenance, something I do yearly, usually before summertime. I have an evaporator coil cleaner and a condenser spray. These are the two products, if you can see them, and again, I'll put links down below. I get up on top of my camper, take the top off and clean the evaporators and condensers and all that stuff. That's another video I need to make. In fact, I actually just installed a new air conditioner on top of one of my campers this past summer, and I should have filmed that because that was an interesting process. But these are something I use every year on the AC, and kind of a whole nother topic, but I figured I'd just touch base on them while I'm going through this stuff. This is the 1021 self-leveling sealant by Alpha Systems. This is what Grand Design recommends for their roofs. Everybody's RV roof is different. Just make sure you look into whether you have a rubber roof, I believe an EPDM roof. A lot of people just use a self-leveling decor caulk, but this is what we use for the self-leveling sealant on the roof, something I also do yearly. This is ProFlex RV flexible sealant, and this is what I use for sealing everything else around the baggage doors, around the walls, on the outside of the camper. This is anytime I need to seal around taillights and windows and all those outside seals you need to check. This is the stuff I end up going through all the time and using. So I just wanted to kind of throw those two things out there. That's two of those that I carry. And if you're going to be using those caulks, you're definitely going to want to always have some mineral spirits on hand. This is a good way to clean up after them, to clean your hands when you're done. Also, if you want to make a nice bead, you kind of just get some mineral spirits on your finger and run it along the silicone as you do it. So always carry some mineral spirits with me. Any kind of sealant job or caulking job, you want to have something like this. So I touched loosely on it down below, but definitely coming up here, usually before the summertime, taking these two covers off, just a Phillips head screwdriver. The plastic cover comes off. You have access to your evaporator coil, your condenser coil. I usually spray, clean those up, check for any wasps, just any buildup, animals get in there. I like to clean everything up. I'll do a whole video on that, probably coming up here pretty soon because it's just about time for me to do it. And I just replaced one of the ACs this past summer, so I'll do a video on that. Stay tuned for that and get really into depth how to maintenance and clean your AC system so they're working good for the summer. Now, I come up on my roof all the time, at least once a month, and I visually inspect it for just anything going on up here. Rips, tears, holes, cracking. I check all the sealant up here. Now again, on my roof I use the Alpha Systems self-leveling sealant. Check with your roof, see what kind it is, make sure you get the right kind of self-leveling sealant for the roof. And I'll go ahead and every spring, usually coming up in May, I'll go ahead and put new self-leveling sealant all around any kind of seams and anywhere it looks like it needs it. And you'll kind of see what the old sealant looks like, and then you'll see some of the fresher areas that I've put some new fresh sealant. And you can actually scrub this and get it a little bit cleaner. What I'm looking for is any kind of cracks or separations or holes maybe starting in it. And probably this year, I'm probably going to go ahead and just put whole new sealant over that area right there. You can see somewhere I did last year. Just walk along and visually inspect all your self-leveling sealants around anything you have. Make sure everything is looking good, because if water gets in, obviously there's no stopping it, and then you're going to have some serious damage. See here, last year, I put a bunch of new sealant all down through here, right on top of the old. That pretty much covers most of my monthly and yearly maintenance and stuff I try to take care of. Before we hit the road, after being stationary, just periodic maintenance I do. Just in case you're wondering, I actually do go through and do all this stuff pretty periodically, and I'll show you what one of my used sheets looks like right here. Maybe it just comes from working on tugboats and ships and just having checklists and routine maintenance that we do, but I try to carry that over to here because again, I'm no mechanic and I really don't like fixing things. I will if I have to. I've only had to call it RV tech out once in 2 years, and that was actually just today to replace and put the whole brand new awning on. Other than that, I've pretty much tackled every project myself that I've had to do as far as maintenance and repairs. So it's usually nothing's too overwhelming, so I try to take care of what I can. Now, we have a whole playlist of RV maintenance and repairs, and again, I'll put that up, left shoulder, I'll put that up over here, and you guys can look into that, and that's going to be an ongoing list. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and feel free to comment below with anything I missed, any kind of monthly or yearly maintenance that you guys take care of. Or if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us on our Instagram page, on Facebook. We have links to all those below. We're always willing to answer any questions that I can to the best of my knowledge. And as always, get out there and start your full-time adventure, because why wait? We'll see you guys next week.